Assalamu alaikum everyone. Can you all hear me? Okay, good. Before we start nutrition, for anyone who hasn't seen the exercise part of this session and they're watching the recording on YouTube, please, I would recommend going and watching the exercise session, or at least the first 10 minutes, so that you can get a feel of what this whole holistic program is about, what are its benefits, etc. And then I would definitely say watch the exercise part, but if you're specifically interested in nutrition, then come back to this session. Jifara?
Yes. I'm so sorry, my mic went on.
That's fine, no worries. Okay, so nutrition now, everyone's favorite topic. Maybe everyone will claim to be an expert in this topic. I don't think I'm an expert at all. It's the most discussed, the most controversial of all topics. You'll find a lot of information about this as well. Again, my goal with the Qawi holistic program is to tie it in with everything else we talked about, and also to give a program that is long-term oriented, and also something that's practical as well. So I'm not going to talk about specific foods that we're going to be eating. I'm not going to talk about, okay, this food has this much nutrition, etc. But I'm going to talk about the general principles, concepts that you need to keep in mind when you're making your nutrition plan, or if you're going to a nutritionist, if you're going to a dietitian, how to know if what they're providing you is a good program at all or not in the first place, right? Okay, very first concept. Does anyone know the difference between probiotics and prebiotics? So I'm assuming no one does. So basically, probiotics, okay, for others. So basically, probiotics are the healthy bacteria that reside in your body. They're all throughout your body, but especially in your stomach, in your gut. And then prebiotics, actually, let me just discuss probiotics first in detail. Probiotics, healthy bacteria is very important for performing several different functions in our bodies. Digestion, for example, absorbing nutrients, etc. So we need healthy bacteria, and good sources for that are yogurt, for example, fermented foods, pickles, etc. So those are things that we need to be intaking, and then prebiotics as well. Prebiotics are dietary fiber that will actually make the bacteria in your body healthier. So they kind of make your bacteria grow. I personally believe that they're more important than probiotics because you already have bacteria in your body. You want the bacteria to be healthy, right? So prebiotics is going to help make that happen. Yes, absolutely, Sana. Probiotics will, among the many benefits of probiotics, they boost immunity, a lot of other things as well. They can help with, your mental functioning, etc. But I didn't want to get into specifics of that. But basically, the reason I'm bringing this up is because I want to talk about gut health. That's the very first thing, the very first concept that we all need to be working on. Ibn Qayyim, in his book, Medicine of the Prophet, notes that the stomach is the foundation of all disease. All diseases start from your stomach. And that's his job, not just him. He studied that from Hippocrates, the father of medicine. So all of them are saying the same thing, that your stomach, that's where your diseases are coming from. So if you have a healthy stomach, that can really help keep you healthy, and that can really help with all the problems, all the unhealthy foods that we're eating. Even our healthy foods, unfortunately, have a lot of toxins in them. So to remove those, your gut needs to be really healthy. For that, I wanted to talk about probiotics and then also prebiotics. So the sources of probiotics would be yogurt, they would be fermented foods for the most part, pickles, etc. And then the source of prebiotics would be garlic, onions. Those are the famous ones. Apples, even bananas help. They have a prebiotic effect. There are a lot of household items. You just look it up online. You can find a lot of prebiotic foods that you can start consuming immediately. The complication with prebiotics is that there's a hadith by the Prophet that I think it was my ummah does not go to the mosque after eating garlic and onion. So what I understand for that is fresh garlic and fresh onion specifically, they have a very bad taste. And I think he mentions angels, that angels don't like that taste. So normally I would recommend having garlic or onion in the morning, maybe with breakfast or before breakfast. And then after that, you have plenty of time before Zohar where you can then, um, you know, um, brush your teeth, do maswak, eat something else so that smell also goes away. But definitely, number one concept, if you're not already doing this, please, please, please consume more probiotics and prebiotics. Also, beyond that, for your gut health, I would recommend aloe vera. That's one thing that doesn't have a lot of studies, so it's something that maybe a lot of people won't be recommending. But I'm personally using it. Aloe vera has a lot of benefits. It's more of a maybe wisdom that's like more like hikmat, right? Hakimi wisdom, more traditional wisdom that's not scientific based. But aloe vera has been used for centuries, right? And it can be used in a lot of different ways. How do you use aloe vera? That's a really good question. So if you've seen an aloe vera, right, a piece of aloe vera, let me see if it's in the slides somewhere. Yes. So can you see this aloe vera in the top right here? My mouse is hovering over it. Yeah. Okay. So basically, an aloe vera plant. You buy an aloe vera plant, and then I will always recommend that. The thing about aloe vera, it doesn't die. It has zero maintenance. Just keep it somewhere. You can stay in the sun. You can even stay without a lot of sun. You can even stay in your room. One thing studies have shown that it actually purifies the air around you. That's one positive thing. But more so, it's eating the impact on your stomach, right? You cut a piece from the top, right? And then you cut the sides right here, right? And then you split it in half. And then you take the gel, you take a knife or a spoon, and you take out the gel and you just, ingest it. Ideally, this would be done first thing in the morning. Concept again of hikmat niharmu, right? There are actually people, if you want, I can send you videos on this as well. A lot of people in the West are now understanding this concept as well, or like, this Eastern knowledge, and they've been recommending this as well. They say every day have aloe vera, over time your resistance will develop. It tastes really bad, I'm not gonna lie, but I think the best thing you can do, if you're one of those people who just can't bear the taste, you can throw it in a smoothie to make the taste bearable. Your smoothie won't taste that good either, but it'll still be bearable. I actually don't mind the taste of aloe vera because I've been having it for a while, 5-6 years now. It really clears up your gut. It works wonders. I think it is beyond anything else you can do. And also, again, if you want to learn how to use it, you can also just go online and see how to cut it. Sorry, Farah, what were you saying to the videos?
You said that you'd be able to send some videos, so
Oh yeah, okay,
about
inshallah. Yeah,
yeah.
inshallah, I'll do that. Okay. Okay,
Is it
so
possible to talk about? So you were just talking about prebiotics and probiotics.
mhm,
The one problem that people who are not in Pakistan, I'm talking about abroad.
mhm.
Um, there's the dirty dozen concept and foods which are so covered with pesticide. Um, even fruits and vegetables.
Sorry, Farah, I can't hear you. From what I've gathered, you're saying talk about the.
Is becoming a
Sorry, Farah, I can't hear you.
problem.
So what I've gathered from your
What do you buy and what do you use and what do you not use? Like say for instance, apples is on the dirty doesn't list. But at the same time, and even if you bring it back home and you've done it, I can put in apple cider vinegar and water and all.
Okay, Farah, I can't hear you really well. Can you please type out your
How
message?
much benefit
Sorry, one second. Just want to make sure that Farah is with us. So, just mute her as well.
you can get from apples which have been, sprayed with so much pesticide at all? About my message.
Farah, can you hear us? Hello?
Assalamu alaikum. I can hear you. You keep carry on, please.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, so Farah, basically what I've gathered, and you can type it out if you want, but Farah, what I've gathered from everything you said, what I could make out, a couple of words, is speak about the dirty dozen. That's a huge problem outside of Pakistan. And then also, like, even if you clean those items, they're not good for you, right? Is that basically the gist of what you were saying? Yep, okay, perfect. Okay, so don't worry, Farah. Pakistan, in one thing, Pakistan has not, let anyone, beat us. We're as bad with pesticides and, herbicides and everything else. I think we're the world's biggest user. I think I read something in a newspaper that we're the world's biggest user of pesticides or something, or of cod. I'm not sure now, but don't worry, we have the same problems as well. The challenge for us is that there's no real concept of organic food, etc. over here, and people who say organic normally there's no way to confirm that. Maybe what they just mean is that, oh yeah, we're just taking it in from our farm to you, you know. And then also there are a few organic shops here though that are doing a lot of really good work. I'll definitely say that. But so just give me a few slides to get there. Um, I think I do cover that in our next session in toxins, removing toxins. Really quickly though, what I'll say is that the one thing is that our food is just not healthy anymore. Like before we start, I can make that clear. Um, Even the aloe vera you'll be buying, it's probably based on synthetic seeds. It's probably grown with synthetic seeds, right? If you're buying it from a market, right? The garlic you're buying, right? A lot of people talk about buying ginger. The ginger that we get in Pakistan, it's clean with soda and stuff. Um, it's a very unhealthy process. So we have to live with what we get. Our bodies, the way Allah has made us, they're remarkable in taking the good that it can get and trying to remove as much bad as possible. Obviously, right now we're being overcome with toxins. That's why we're all unhealthy. But the thing is that overall, this entire program, breathing healthy, working on your posture, exercising to detoxify, eating health and nutrition, all these things come together to counter it all. Because otherwise, we can't even go out in the sun. The ozone layer isn't protecting us the way it used to, right? And we can't drink water because water is extremely contaminated, right? So we have to do our best with our nutrition, with our food, and then we just have to, find ways to boost our immune system, and that'll come in different ways. Faiza is saying soaking fruits and veggies in water with baking soda for 10 minutes usually helps. I won't say 100% exactly. I think Farah mentioned as well that she would use vinegar and water and soda. These things definitely I do them as well. Like Faisal, like you said, I soak my fruits and in vinegar, and then we also bought a spray that has aloe vera in it, aloe vera and lavender oil, etc., and salt. And you can also soak your fruits with that and your veggies, and you can use a brush. I'm going to talk about that more in our next session, inshallah. But I know it's very tied to nutrition. Um, the thing is, though, is that what internally has got into the food, there's no way of going around that. What you can do is you can start growing your own food, right? If you have, and not necessarily everything, I'm not saying everyone needs to have a huge farmhouse, but if you have enough space that you can start growing garlic and you can start growing aloe vera, and you can start growing a few leaves. There are certain leaves that are really healthy for you. Grape leaves are really healthy for you. Again, you might not have space to grow grapes, but there are a lot of foods that don't take a lot of space and they have a lot of detoxifying benefits. And then, yeah, maybe the seeds are synthetic, but over time, if you don't spray them, etc., then you can start getting more benefit from them. So that's one way that you can start, avoiding all those pesticides. And then also, that's what this whole Simply Muslims community is about, right? Like moving to the countryside so you have access to better food. So overall, it's a really tough question you asked. I think overall, try your best and then, focus on all aspects of your health so that your immune system stays strong. At the end of the day, if you have a good immune system, no matter what pandemic comes, no matter, what happens with the food, etc., with smog, with factories, etc., I think you'll be able to survive. For example, when you talk about nutrition, right? The food isn't just sprayed with pesticides. The pesticides actually go into the ground and they are mixed into our water as well. And then factories, they dump a lot of waste, a lot of chemical waste in water. So we're drinking water that's contaminated. And then again, the sky, we have planes that are constantly dropping lead, which is extremely poisonous on us. And then we have factories, that have a lot of smoke coming out of them that are emitting a lot of chemicals. And then there's a lot of toxic rain because those chemicals are coming back to us with the rain, right? So overall, there's no way we can't be too stressed about this. We just have to trust in Allah. We have to make sure that we don't get stressed because stress will actually make us more unhealthy. And try our best. And then, just keep learning, keep trying different things. Like what Faiza said, maybe that's not a 10 out of 10, but at least it's a 6 out of 10, right? Now the surface of your food is clean, right? Then, and also like, for example, what you can do is you can start buying organic strawberries because you'll avoid the dirty dozen. But then at the same time, maybe because we can't afford everything organic, buy oranges that are not organic because their peels are going to absorb most of that, the pesticides, etc., the sprays, and then the orange itself is going to be saved. So that's what I'll have to say for this for now. Inshallah, the next session we'll just cover this in more detail. Okay, so macronutrients and micronutrients. So basically, the foods have both macronutrients and micronutrients. Macronutrients are the basically structure of the food. For example, almonds will have, or for example, rice will have protein plus carbs. It doesn't have much fats. Almonds will have fats and proteins and a little bit of carbs. So every food is broken down into a different kind of structure. And this doesn't go away. Like, for example, your almonds might go bad, they might go rancid, but that doesn't mean that they'll have less protein. What will happen over time maybe is that your apples might have less vitamins in them, but they'll have the same amount of carbs in them. So there's a big debate about this. Okay, what should we be using? Should we have more carbs or should we have more protein or should we have more fats? And I think all the ways are fine as long as there's balance. You don't want to be just having fats or just having proteins. I think there's a paleo diet that focuses on proteins, medium level of fats. Then there's a ketogenic diet that focuses on high fats. I think they're fine. Specifically, if you have a specific purpose you're targeting, they can help you. I think long run they might not be very healthy because they go towards an extreme, right? You want your body to be balanced, but you can do those as well. Overall, having all these different macronutrients is important. You want to have carbs; they give you energy. To be very honest, they're cheaper as well. Every nation in the world has a staple diet the staple diet is always carbs, apart from very few societies that had coconuts, for example, as their staple diet. And then you want to have fats and proteins because they contain amino acids. And amino acids basically help build muscle. They help build skin, grow hair, etc. So that's why they're very important. So Even if you can't afford it, you still need some level of fat and protein in your life. Micronutrients are all about vitamins. Vitamin A, right, better for your eyes. Vitamin B, good for your blood. Vitamin C, good for your immune system. Vitamin D, good for your bones. You can go on and on and on. Vitamin K, good for your bones. Calcium, etc. So our foods, mainly vegetables and fruits and nuts, also dairy, will have a lot of nutrients packed in them, right? Also meat as well, etc. But like there's more of a variety in fruits and vegetables, I would say. We want to make sure we get a lot of nutrients from our foods because it's like everyone's probably heard of the concept of garbage in, garbage out, right? If you're giving yourself healthy food, it has good nutrients, your body can then use those nutrients to heal itself, right? Um, one thing you want to make sure, and that ties to point number 3, you want to make sure you don't heat your food too much because when you heat your vegetables, they start losing the nutrients. Also, for example, when you have, and again, people from Australia, England, etc., you'll find packaged spinach, for example. You want to avoid that completely because once your spinach is cut, once your apple is cut, once it's oxygenated, it starts losing its nutrients and really fast. There are studies that show that by the time your spinach gets from the farm to you, there's only 50% vitamin B left in it. Or like I think with apples, it has when you cut an apple, I think within 30 minutes it loses 80% of its nutrients. So the best thing you can do is have fresh fruits, and not like have them stored, right? You have them, you buy them, and then you use them as quickly as possible. Cooking food, when you cook food to a certain level, to lose weight, should one focus on less carbs? And if so, in order to compensate, what should one replace with? I think to lose weight, you need to just avoid fatty, like fast food, and you need to avoid, you need to exercise more, and you need to just not overeat. I think that's the main thing. I think like there are diets again, they're focused on the short term, where okay, just have fats and you lose weight. I don't think this stuff really matters because I know people, I know experts who are on a paleo diet and they're in great shape. I know people who are on a ketogenic diet and they're in great shape. I know people who are on a carb loading diet, and I've tried all these diets. I've tried raw vegan diets. I've tried pescatarian diets. I've tried no cooking diets as well, where you just eat raw foods, you don't cook them. People who eat healthy, who stay in shape, again, who have a balanced, holistic view on health, are normally in good shape. And then, Faiza, you're asking, what about frozen veggies? Are they bad too? Frozen veggies, I mean, if you're buying them from I think they're okay. I don't like recommend them. I think you should buy veggies and then maybe cut them yourself and freeze them. I think that's better. And then maybe use them within a couple of months. Basically, the cell walls of food starts breaking over time, and there's not many studies to show what that does to your health. Yeah, your food is still ingestible. You can still ingest it, but I don't know. Like, I haven't read many studies about how frozen food impacts your health, right? So, and I don't think you'll find many studies on that because frozen veggies is a huge market. So you'll probably find a lot of studies are only financed by certain industries. So that's why back in the 60s, you would find cigarette companies and doctors actually recommending cigarettes, right? Like actually like scientists actually showing that, oh, cigarettes don't have such bad health impact, right? Obviously, because they were being paid by cigarette companies to do those research studies, right? So that's what we have to understand. We have to base a lot of this on common sense as well. I think frozen veggies, if you're buying frozen foods, definitely avoid because they're full of preservatives. Frozen veggies, for example, if you're buying frozen mushrooms, frozen blueberries, etc., I think you can eat them, but I would say that should again not be the main thing. I think you should rely on fresh natural foods, and then if you're a working mother or if you're like busy with other stuff, maybe you can throw that in as well. Okay, like for example, okay, for my morning smoothie, I'll throw in some frozen blueberries to make my smoothie healthier. But you still want raw, good, healthy milk and some fresh bananas, etc., fresh almonds added to that smoothie, if that makes sense, Faiza. And then Sana Hanif, calorie deficit. Calorie deficits, if you're overeating, you want a calorie deficit. But a lot of the people who I know who are overweight, who have a tummy protruding, they're not eating much. They're just eating unhealthy and they're not active. Because when you're active, your body utilizes that energy and your digestion is so much better that whatever your body doesn't use, it's excreted much better. It leaves your system much better as well. So, and again, calorie deficit, again, you know better. If I can have a personal conversation to understand better if you need a calorie deficit, but you'll know better yourself as well if you're eating too much. If you are, then obviously cut down on your food. Maybe to help with that, start eating foods that are high in fat. Eat foods that are more nutrient dense. Almonds, for example, they'll fill you up and you'll be eating less. Drink a lot more water. That way you'll get used to eating less. Because again, studies show that when you eat too much and your stomach stretches, then there's more space, and then your mind always has this concept that there's more space for your stomach to fill, even though you need less calories. And there's obviously the Prophet's hadith as well, right? That the son of Adam only needs a few morsels to survive. But again, like because our calories are so, like our food is so devoid of nutrition now, you do want to make sure you get healthy food, right? So if you're eating less, eat healthy. And over time, calorie deficit, if you do that too much, then that'll lead to, lower testosterone levels that can lead to a lot of other really unhealthy complications as well, because your body goes into survival mode when it's eating too less, so you don't want your body to ever go into survival mode. Okay, raw foods now. So I talked about nutrient dense foods, right? So vegetables, etc. Having them raw, I don't mean that you don't cook your food at all. Do have your cooked foods, but necessarily make sure that you have some raw foods with it. For example, have a fresh salad. By raw foods, I mean foods that aren't cooked. So just have a fresh salad with your food, And then like something that Farah touched upon, right? Don't have the peels of your apples. Cut the peels of your cucumbers because cucumbers are heavily sprayed. So you want to avoid the skins of certain foods. Raw foods also means honey, for example, because a lot of honey, to make sure it has a longer shelf life, our manufacturers are heating up the honey and they're doing it for too long. And there's actually there's a lot of arguments that, the beehive itself goes to 95 degrees Celsius heat, but that's its natural environment. And heating food for a long period under fire, it has its own impact. We can't tell that impact because there aren't many studies done for that. So you have your honey, you have even your milk, right? Pasteurized milk that's in cartons. You get that a lot more outside of Pakistan, but even in Pakistan now we have a lot of carton-based milk, right? You want to try to avoid those. Try to get it from a gawala, from a traditional milk vendor. Heat it yourself. Think about it this way: when you buy milk from a supermarket, right, in a carton, that can last up to a month, right, 2 months. When you buy your own milk and heat it, it lasts maximum 4 or 5 days, right? So the way they're heating it, their maximum pasteurization, the way they do it at very high temperature and do it very quickly, all those things have impacts that are not really good for us. And that's why a lot of people nowadays have lactose intolerance. They're not able to digest food anymore, milk anymore. And there's a huge concept now, especially in the West, I'm sure you've heard of it, Faiza, you too, that, milk is not good for us. It's torturing the animals. That's why when you drink milk, it's bad for you. It actually depletes your calcium levels in your bones, etc. That's not true. Milk is good for us, but the milk, the way it's processed now, the way we have milk now, that's what's bad for us. Okay, moving on. So 5 things that we all need to be avoiding. They're killers, they're very unhealthy for you. Sugar, I think that's one is very obvious, right? Processed foods, bakery items, binge eating, and eating late. So I'm going to give you the alternatives for all of these because I think there's no one who's going to disagree with me that, I don't agree with you. Processed foods are really good for you. Everyone by now, I think, knows that they're full of preservatives and chemicals, etc. Sugar is crystallized, it's not natural, right? So what you want to do is maybe have dates instead of having sugar. Or you can have figs, for example, right? You can have sweet things. If you're a sweet tooth like me, you can just have alternatives. And for example, if you want to maybe bake and now you need sugar, right? Maybe you can use gur, right? Sugar cane, which is easily available in Pakistan, jaggery, right? It's it You can find really good pure jaggery, really high quality jaggery. If you can, then I would say that's the best thing for you. Um, then the alternative to processed foods is making foods at home. For example, you can make your own mayonnaise at home. We make our own. We don't. My wife does. I just buy this material, but my wife makes mayonnaise at home. She has made tomato paste at home. We oils rather than getting processed oils. You can make your own desi ghee at home. You can take the cream from your milk, heat it up. It's very easy. It doesn't even take that long. So the processed foods that you want to have but you can't, you can find alternatives. You can take banana peels and then throw them in the oven, and then get banana chips. There's actually a lot of good brands out there now that are actually making baked chips from beans, etc. Jaggery and honey both can be used, or is jaggery preferred? Honey, when it's raw, when it's not heated, when it's not filtered, again, it's like coming from our Islamic tradition, right? The Holy Prophet saying, make use of honey in the Quran. Honey is definitely, I think, the best thing. It just has the amount of vitamins and minerals it has. It just goes on and on and on. Um, Jaggery is processed. It's you take sugar cane, take it through a machine, and you get these small balls, not balls really, but like small, uh, patches of sugar cane. It's minimally processed. A lot of people adulterate it. They add in sugar so that it's not really that pure. And then a lot of people also like then make from jaggery. They make what do you call it? गुड़ no गुड़ के बाद क्या आता है sugar. They make sugar, so then they mix in sugar at that point. um, I think it's easier in foreign countries where there are manufacturers who will actually tell you that we're giving you a really high quality thing. You can research online. You can even find people who visited their farms. I can guarantee you that yes, they have healthy things. um, Otherwise, like in Pakistan, like I'll normally go to wholesale markets, and then I've learned over time what healthy jaggery looks like and how to get it. Okay, so avoiding bakery. The thing about bakery, it has sugar, it has processed foods. All the ingredients normally are processed, and then also it has white flour. So you really want to avoid white flour, because it's a very highly processed. Flour itself right now is a huge issue. We'll get to that. But white flour is extremely processed. And then whether you take white flour, whether you take white sugar, whether you take white rice, when they go in your body, they all become sugar. They all act the same way. They increase your blood sugar levels, so your body doesn't take them separately. So avoiding bakery items, making them at home again. And again, let's say, for example, someone says, yeah, jaggery isn't that healthy. I don't have access to really good jaggery, or it's too expensive. Baking at home will still be much healthier and better, with your clean hands, with your clean oil, than getting it from a bakery. Also, when I say bakery, I also mean bread. Bread has a lot of white flour. If you ever eat the ingredients of bread, it has a lot of sugar. It has some preservatives in it. It just goes in your body and it wreaks havoc. So I would say don't give your kids, don't have sugar cereal unless you can get Ezekiel bread. Though there are certain kind of breads that are specifically made, and they're made by Christian communities. That's the beauty of it. They're like made by these very Christian. They might even be Mormons. I'm not sure. Communities that are committed to natural healthy food, and they've made minimally processed breads that are made of all seeds and grains, etc. And they add in whole grain and they add in honey. And even if that honey is a little processed, it's way better, and then you can enjoy really good bread that way. And then they freeze it. So that's an option, not in Pakistan, but for people abroad. Avoid binge eating. Binge eating, I think, goes against our Islamic tradition as well. Overeating, overeating, glutton goes against the Christian tradition as well. Sorry, just let me hook up my laptop. Okay, so binge eating, there's really no alternative to binge eating, but one way that you can avoid binge eating is by maybe eating earlier, maybe having again heavier foods, drinking water before you eat. One thing that causes binge eating, which I'm really guilty of, is when I'm watching something and I start eating. I just keep eating. So stop watching things while eating. Be mindful of your food. Um, and then last thing, eating late. Because again, I think I'll discuss this more with sleep as well. But when you eat food late and you're not active and moving around, your body, your digestion slows down, and that's not good for you. Especially when you go to sleep, then your body uh, should be working on repairing your muscles, repairing your body, right, removing the toxins. Rather, it's just focusing on digesting your food. So you don't want to be eating late. Um, Everyone knows what intermittent fasting is. That is okay. Intermittent fasting basically means that you are, taking a break between. Yes, Hamid Bhai does. So basically, it's when you take breaks in between your meals. Intermittent fasting has become a study. It's become a science. It's become the new thing, right? It's great for your gut as well. Going back to gut health, point number one. The funny thing is that intermittent fasting was just a way of living. If you go hundreds of years ago, like Romans ate one heavy meal a day. I was just doing the research on this. Egyptians had, I think, 2 meals a day. Greeks, I think, had 2 meals and then one very light breakfast. This is a very common, you know, again, because of pesticides, because we have an oversupply of food, right? So we're just eating all day, right? And the food is nutrient dense, so it's not even giving us the right nutrients. So we never feel full and satisfied either. But intermittent fasting is the idea is that you take long breaks between your food. It can range from 10 hours to even 16 to even 18 hours. I think, like, for example, if you have your last meal before Isha, that's always a good, you know, benchmark, or immediately after Maghrib. So right nowadays it would be around 7 o'clock, and then you have your morning meal at around 8 o'clock. That's 13 hours of intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting basically lets your body heal. It helps kill cancer cells. It's good for your digestion. It just has numerous benefits. You can go on again about the benefits. And actually, now I remember when I was in the US, people used to tell me fasting is crazy. And then all these studies came about how fasting is good for you. And then people told me, oh, you don't even drink water while fasting. That's crazy. And now there are studies, and the West is now adopting this, where they're saying that dry fasting has incredible benefits as well. The idea of dry fasting is not drinking any water, which is basically a roza, right, in our Islamic tradition. Okay, um, and some more hidden dangers. So this is stuff that I don't say give up, like I'll say give up sugar, but I'll say try to limit this stuff. Milk, unfortunately, most of the milk, the cows are given, injected with certain hormones, etc., to give more milk. Chicken, unfortunately, is injected with hormones to grow bigger, testosterone. I think cows are injected with estrogen. So basically, these are the things that we need to, kind of limit. We can't go without milk. Yeah, if you have your own farm, if you have healthy cows with you, I would say go for it. But if not, then try to find a vendor who has really healthy milk that they can provide you, and limit it. Have it maybe once a day. Don't make it a staple of your diet. Same with wheat. This is a really good message that someone from the Simply Muslims community, Razia, shared. She said a naturopath doctor said that wheat is now a hybrid wheat used everywhere because it produces more wheat grains per crop. So basically, it's because it's more profitable, right? We're using this hybrid seed. The ancient wheat was very digestible. And the second problem is with wheat is that it is sprayed and extremely toxic with the extremely toxic glyphosate, which is in the pesticide Roundup. So, and glyphosate disrupts your endocrine system. So basically your hormones, etc. So that's why the less gandam you can have, people who eat 2, 3 rotis a day, I worked out now, I need 3 rotis a day. Please have few almonds, don't have too much wheat. Unfortunately, the modern processes with which it's grown is really bad for you. If you can have jaw, if you can have barley flour, that's great. That's what we use it in my home. And it's actually comes out cheaper than buying wheat from the market. White rice, like I mentioned before, basically white rice has a hull. It has like a cover, a shell around it. And when you have white rice, it's polished. That shell is removed. Many people say that shell is actually then sold in terms of multivitamins in the market. And then you eat this white rice, which is extremely high in sugar. Canola oil, vegetable oil, ghee, all of these are extremely processed. They're not really natural, although vegetables sound natural, right? Ghee sounds natural. Use desi ghee. Try to use, instead of vegetables, try to use mustard seed oil. Just try to use oil less in general if you can't afford it. When you're recooking food, don't use oil, use water. That's what I used to do in one of my previous offices, and it worked pretty fine. And then you can maybe use less, like less oil. That's really healthy, and just understand that the benefits of it will be better. Olive oil, it's a really good question. I would not recommend cooking in olive oil because olive oil does not have a high tolerance to heat. So all the nutrients in olive oil are kind of rendered useless. So you want to have olive oil over salads. That's the best way to have olive oil. If you can afford, if you think that you have more access to olive oil, then definitely maybe even cooking it as well. It's better than cooking in these 3 things. But ideally, olive oil is used fresh. Just have a teaspoon a day, for example. Even with coconut oil or mustard seed oil, it would be best if you just had a teaspoon a day. Steam your vegetables, etc. There's a lot of dumpuk for Sanaullah bhai, if he's still here with us, Pathans. They can cook really healthy meat without using any oil at all. So you can turn towards that, or actually, maybe not give up these oils completely, but maybe add that to your diet as well. Sorry, I forgot to tell you the alternative for white rice would be brown rice, and then the alternative for oils I told you. Next point is hydration. So in general, you want to just keep yourself hydrated. Water has incredible benefits for your diet, for your brain. If you're dehydrated, your brain stops functioning properly. You need to be very well hydrated. Helps with absorption of nutrients as well. It helps remove toxins, when you pass urine, etc. So you want to be hydrated. That's very, very important. You want to obviously filter your water. Also heating your water can be helpful if you don't have access to good filters. There are also companies that provide filtration plants. If you can afford those, that's a good idea as well. Reverse osmosis. Again, there's a lot of debate about this. I'm not going to get into specifics, otherwise we'll be here forever. Because there's arguments for and against reverse osmosis. There's arguments for and against boiling your water. There's arguments for and against filters. I think boiling your water and then using a filter, that's good. Takes a little more effort. Otherwise, reverse osmosis is fine as well. Otherwise, if you have access to a water plant, they're selling you water, maybe you can buy that. Your food, no matter what you're eating, I don't want to get into specific foods, but whatever you're eating, it should be seasonal and local. Seasonal because the way that nature has, grown us, the way that Allah has made us, our seasonal foods come up at certain seasons because we need them at certain times, right? When the weather is hot, we need certain foods, right? That's why all of a sudden watermelons come, right? You have, for example, sweet potatoes in the winters, right? You heat those up and you have them. You need warmer foods in the winters, right? So try to have seasonal food. It'll go through less processing, right? Because if a fruit that only is grown in April, right? You get it in September, for example, right? Normally it's going through some, unnatural processes to keep it going. And then you want your food to be local as well. Again, local food because our environment around us, the food that's grown in our environment around us, is meant to also heal the diseases that we have. So the local honey from our country is always better than getting honey, imported honey, because it caters for the diseases that are in our country. That's why if you've ever heard, there's a famous saying that whenever you go to a new country, a new spot, mountains, for example, eat a local onion, eat an onion from the local market. That'll like help you avoid getting any diseases. And then the last fact is the effects of food. Tasir, just give me 1 second. However, I'm just going to try to cover everything in 10 minutes, so we'll finish by 5:30. That's okay. So basically, the effects of food, and this is a prophetic tradition. Tasir, which we call in Urdu, yin yang in Chinese traditional medicine. The concept is that your food has there are 4 different impacts that your food can have on you, and scientific studies have not really covered this so far. Your food is either dry, wet, hot, or cold. Thanda, garam, tar, khushk, right? So the Holy Prophet, when he had khajur, which is garam and khushk, right? He would have cucumbers with it, which is tar, cold, wet, right? So that's how you kind of balance out the impacts of foods, right? So it's very important to learn these 2 things. You should learn about what food is seasonal. Normally, our grandparents, our elders know that. You should learn which foods are local. If you ever find local farmers, right? It's easier abroad where they have farmers markets. You can ask them which foods are local. Also, the foods that have lower prices are normally local and seasonal as well. And then the tasir food, you can find hakims, or you can look up Chinese traditional medicine to discuss this and to understand this in more detail. Okay, really quickly, I'm just going to walk you through what meal planning looks like, right? So now you know all these things. Now, how do you prepare, how do you design your family's nutrition plans, right? Or your meals. So you want to have, if you work out, right, in the mornings, very first thing you want to have a pre-workout. It's optional. I normally don't because I'm able to work out a lot without food. But you can have maybe a couple of dates, or a fig, or like we already talked about, if you have half an hour, a banana. And then if you're working out in the afternoon, for example, or in the evening, if you have a couple of hours, maybe 1 hour and a half, 2 hours, you can have a peanut butter and banana sandwich. And when I mean peanut butter and banana sandwich, I mean banana with peanut butter in between it. Because like I already said, I'm against bread, right? So then I can't really say peanut butter and banana sandwich without clarifying that means that you're basically making a sandwich with 2 slices of bananas. Salt water I added because you're from in a very humid environment like Pakistan, what we were going through for the last 3 months. You want to have salt water because you're losing a lot of fluids. Like I talked about, the very first thing is focusing on your gut, focusing on your liver as well. So you want to have foods that are good for your gut and your liver. Lemon water is really good for your liver. Aloe vera, this is what Hakim say, nihar mukai. You don't have to necessarily do this. Like there's a lot of traditional stuff that you can get from Hakims, from even Eastern medicine, even in the West, there are probably people who are selling healthy things from their traditions, right? And you can have them first thing in the morning, and they'll work wonders. Because why first thing in the morning? Because your body hasn't ingested anything else yet, so you can use your maximum resources in your body to get the benefits from those foods. Kalwanji, honey on empty stomach, yes. Honey with water, for example. You can also have kalwanji. When you're talking about kalwanji honey, I think you're talking about black seed oil, right? That's also great. Like that's why I said this is just a sample of what I'm doing, right? Based on my budget, based on my ease. I'm having kalwanji at a different time, for example, right? So you can mix and match. But the idea is these are the kind of meals that you should be planning pre-workout. What are you having on an empty stomach? Okay, now you know that, okay, I should have something empty stomach. Try to make sure your entire family is doing that as well, right? For example, I'll cut the garlic and I'll give it to everyone in my family, first thing before we have our shakes, etc. Breakfast, we'll have nuts and fruits and yogurt. That's the main thing with breakfast. Start off with a high vitamin diet. Peanut butter is really good because it's heavy. Sweet, and then if you go into the winters, sweet potatoes, singade, right? Oatmeal. Oatmeal actually has a lot of prebiotics as well, so it's really good for your stomach as well. And then you talk about basil seeds. Um, so I'll have this as an addition, right? This is my main meal. So also always try to have some kind of powder or something healthy. I won't go into too much detail. Like I said, you can have a teaspoon of almond oil, etc. Um, Definitely try to add moringa powder, especially if you're in Pakistan. Moringa, I forgot what it's called in Urdu. Does anyone remember what it's called in Urdu? Moringa powder, moringa leaves, the moringa tree actually. Um, I've completely skipped my mind. But basically, if you have moringa powder, uh,
Suhanjana?
GGG, Swanjana, exactly, that's it. This has like dozens and dozens of benefits, and you can actually like grow this in a very small area. You can grow your own moringa tree, and you can take the leaves, sun dry them, grind them, and make your own powder. Because you get this in the market, it's really expensive. We get this for free at home every day. My mother asked our gardener, our Mali, to buy it from, not even buy it, he gets it from someone's house who has a ton of Sohanjana trees, and then they just bring it home, and then we have it all year round. So definitely try to get moringa powder into your life, or other powders. If you live abroad, spirulina powder, please look up spirulina. I won't get into the details because of the shortage of time, but unbelievable. Like the way it detoxes heavy metals, etc. Unbelievable. Every time someone from abroad comes who I can ask to bring something, I definitely ask them to bring spirulina. Okay, again, then if you're having tea time, try to give up black tea. It's full of pesticides. Coffee is also, unfortunately. But if you can, that's fine. But if you can, then try to have Peshawari kawa. Try to have herbal teas that have no caffeine at all. Lemongrass, moringa leaves. Take leaves. You can even take a bunch of herbs, cinnamon, elaichi, turmeric, and then add them, to water. Or if you want, you can even add all these things to your black tea, which will make it relatively healthier as well. But overall, black tea is not really good for you. Yes, it speeds up your metabolism, but I think personally, the harm is way more than the good. Lunch, you have your food, cooked food, and then you have it in mustard oil, and then having nuts on the side, having soap on the side. Soap is really good for your digestion. I forget what soap is called in English. Does anyone remember? I could be.
Fenugreek.
Yes, fenugreek seeds, right? I think that's it.
Hey,
Um,
fennel seeds, fennel seeds.
Fennel seeds, yes, yes, yes. It's fennel seeds. Fenugreek seeds are different. Fennel seeds, absolutely. And then jowar ki roti, like I said, we've given up wheat, so we have barley flour. And then after work, when I get home, normally I like to have fruit chaat. And then okay, you don't have to do all these meals. I'm not saying eat times, right? Again, remember, but the point is that these are different options. Mix and match. Do whatever suits you and your life better. Maybe you don't want to eat in the morning. Maybe your first meal is lunch, and then you come home and you have fruit. And then again, if you don't have tea earlier, then have Peshawari kawa. Or maybe you have black tea, which you just can't give it up, you're too addicted before lunch. And then after lunch, you can have Peshawari kawa. Because these kawas that are based on leaves, etc., like they have a lot of benefits. Um, Obviously, black tea is also from a leaf, but the way it's extremely processed doesn't leave it very healthy. Dinner is kind of the same as lunch. Just shouldn't be as heavy, obviously. I've added salad to my dinners. Traditional Eastern medicine says don't have salad at night, have it in lunch. I can't do that because at work I'm not able to take fresh salads, but if you can, ideally you have fresh salads with your big meals, lunch or dinner. And post dinner, when I feel like having something unhealthy after my dinner, which is often, I guess, what you can do is maybe have some calcium, those calcium drops, Calci. You can drink that rather than having soda and then having fruit. Okay, that's it. I promised Mohammed Bhai I'll finish by 5:30. There's some superfoods like cilantro. Most of these things I've already covered, right? Aloe vera, garlic, fennel seeds, cinnamon, Lechi. I just want to give you guys a list. You might have a much better list than me on superfoods. I'll totally respect that. You know, tukmulange, chia seeds, basil seeds. In Pakistan, normally you get basil seeds really cheap. Chia seeds you get in the West more. Really, really good for you. Really good for your digestion. You know, you can get those. Um, these are kind of things that I would recommend. Fresh salads, even steamed salads, steamed foods overall, steamed um, steamed meat, right? So that's overall everything I'm going to talk about. I'm going to skip the heavy toxins, etc. regarding food. I'll do that in the next session, inshallah. So any questions before we end? Faiza is saying, but isn't fruits should be taken before main meals, not after? So again, Faiza, there's a lot of debate about that. Some people say you shouldn't have fruit empty stomach. Some people say you should have fruit empty stomach. Some people say you should have fruit before the meal because if you have it after, then it causes gas because fruit digests quicker. Honestly, I think having fruit is important. That's for me. You know, that's what I would say. Like if you're having fruit, right? Don't make it too technical, uh, because it'll make your life harder. You know, I feel like more technical you get, the more. That's why there aren't many people on, diets, very specific nutrition diets. What I try to do is try to show the concept and then just try to make it so that you don't have to obsess over it, if that makes sense. Any last question? Anything else anyone wants to ask? Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much for bearing with me. Inshallah, we'll have the next session probably within 2 weeks. So until then, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum assalam.